Good evening. I am Mayor Pro Tem Edward Wood, and I am calling the regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, March 18th, 2024, to order. City Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Boykin.
Here.
Councilmember Worthington is excused. Councilmember McCluskey.
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Grassi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Present.
Mayor Figueroa is excused. Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Councilmember Fleming, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if everyone would please join us in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Is there any dissension? Seeing none, agenda is approved. Now I'd like to go to, we have a special presentation tonight for Women's History Month. Councilmember McCluskey, could you lead us in this?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Got a list. Can't forget that. This is bigger. I'm having this one. All right, thank you. Today we are honoring Women's History Month. And sometimes women are always in the background, but they're never really recognized for some of their achievements, for some of the things that they had contributed to the society. But over the years, things have slowly evolved and changed. We have more women now coming up and taking leadership roles, becoming CEOs, power and scientists. They are also, when people nowadays look at a woman, they're looking not more at their femininity, but what they can contribute to society. So all those things have evolved for a good reason because of some of the women that I'm going to call up front here, and others women in the past, our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-great-grandmothers are all part of the reason why women are where they are today. Now, it's not always about women, is it? Sometimes the man has to open that door so that the woman can discover who she is and what she can do and have confidence to allow their daughters to progress further than they would ever dream of progressing. So this is why we honor Women's History Month. And the City of University Place has decided that it was a good thing to do. So I like to read the proclamation. Whereas in 1987, Congress passed Public Law 100-9 was designated March as Women's History Month to highlight the contributions of women to events in history and contemporary society. Whereas the theme for 2024 celebrates women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. This theme recognizes women who understand the need to eliminate bias and discrimination entirely from our lives and our institutions. Whereas today, equity, diversity, inclusion are powerful driving forces that are having a wide-ranging impact on our country and our county. as members of families, civic and community groups, businesses, and legislative bodies, women are in the forefront of reevaluating the status quo, and whereas Women's History Month provides an opportunity to honor the generations of trailblazing women and girls who have built our nation, shaped our progress, and strengthened our character as people. And now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place do hereby invite the residents of University Place to join us in recognizing and honoring the contributions, achievement, leadership, and may I underscore courage, strength, and love of the woman in our community, organizations, as well as businesses. Proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place on March 18th, 2024. So we have selected, because these women have stepped up to the plate legislatively to help the City Council make important decisions, as well as some of the movers and shakers in the community that have done something out of their comfort zone in order to improve and make our city better, either to save history, either to create a beautiful playground, either to guide the City Council on public safety issues, the police levy, and many other things that the women that I'm about to call have done for our community, as well as being a council member as well, because I see one of our past council members and our past mayor. So on our planning commission, we have Sandy McKenzie, please come up, who has just got her degree in diversity. Congratulations for that. Diane Bendixson, is she here? Thank you, Diane. Emily Calhoun. Thank you, Emily. Ruth Ann Ream, who's been one of the founding mothers that led the city into cityhood and helped us establish a duck statue in memory of her husband. Alicia Cunningham, from one of my favorite organizations in the past, Girl Scouts, and it's on our Appropriately Parks Commission. One of my favorite commissions, by the way. Nora Fleming de Sandoval, are you here? No? Okay. And Melanie Garassi, an up-and-coming leader who has also demonstrated past leadership, but now it's going to be evident on the City Council. I don't see Linda Bird here, but I do see our past mayor, Caroline Belisi, who's also one of the founding mothers of our community that started the city and has just recently retired from public service. But maybe we can call her back, right? Karen Benvenisti. She's the co-president of our Historical Society, who's worked for the past 12 or 13 years trying to preserve our city's history in a very special place at Current Apple Orchard. Huge undertaking, hundreds of thousands of dollars of fundraising, and if you ever need a grant writer, I would call Karen. And last but not least is Chris Saunders, who's previously been on our planning commission and is now she's always trying to figure out what she can do to improve our community, and now she is working on a huge undertaking and task, which is almost done, hopefully with a signing from the governor to get extra funding to complete and seal the deal, our first integrated playground at Cirque Park. So thank you, ladies. Oh, did I miss somebody? Dixon? Don Morris. Where is she? Oh, she's on our economic development. Oh, I just met you too. Oh, what a faux pas. I'm so sorry. Yeah, she's a business owner here in our heart of our town center. She does, your company is Bishop Hair Salon. And so we love to have businesses, especially if they glamour and beautify all of our citizens. So thank you, ladies, for all of your hard work. And you're going to get a rose, a red rose that means the City Council loves you and so does your community. Thank you.
So we're going to want to squeeze in nice and tight. There we go. All right. And 3, 2, 1. Just for good measure. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here for this. It's great seeing everybody in the room together. Now on our agenda, it's time for a public comment. Do we have the directions on the screen, please? So we are now in the public comment portion of the agenda. It's an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the City Council about any items not appearing on the agenda or on the consent agenda. And specifically tonight, there's going to be 2 public comment portions. One is now, which is the open public comment. There will be a second public comment regarding the Stormwater Management Program update. So if your comments relate to stormwater management, please wait until that second portion when we get there. So having said that, I have a list of some names here. We'll just start at the top and work our way down. Is Deanna Cleveland available? All right. You'll have, please state your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your comment.
Good evening. My name is Deanna Cleveland, and for 13 years I've lived in the Nantucket West community, the condominium community that's just below Cirque Park. I'm here tonight as one of our residents, not as a governing board member, although I have previously served on our board, and that group is aware of my presence here tonight. For about 3 years, our community has experienced increased noise levels of loud music in Cirque Park, which has drawn huge crowds of people with parking lots full of cars double stacked during the good weather season, primarily on weekends, but not limited to those days. Music volume has actually driven me off my patio, has forced me to close doors and windows during warm weather, and still the reverberation was heard inside my home. Neighbors have confirmed they are experiencing the same, and I imagine the residential community directly across from the park is also affected. 2 years ago, I conferred with then Councilmember Bellici, who was understanding and supportive. She suggested I phone the non-emergency police number and lodge complaints when these incidents occurred. I did so several times, as did many of my neighbors, after I addressed this at some of our board meetings, and we continued to call last summer as well. And last summer, I addressed these issues in a letter that I sent to the full council, to City Manager Steve Sugg, and to both the retiring Police Chief Primo and our incoming Chief Burke as that transition was occurring. I received very supportive responses and had positive conversations with Councilmember Bellici, Councilmember McCluskey, and Chief Burke. I've also discussed this issue with newly elected Councilmember Grassi, who is also supportive of our concerns. And I've also met with folks in the city's Parks Operations Group. I understand our police have many calls to deal with, especially on weekends, and this issue cannot be theirs alone to address. Ideas have been mentioned, such as electricity timers or turning off electricity to the music amplifiers, reinstating a reservation system to approve and monitor large groups, a practice we know that was in place in the past, more police patrols through the park, especially during high-use times, parking controls to eliminate the stacking of cars, which prevents safe passage for others and emergency vehicles. As spring arrives officially tomorrow, we have concerns that the loud music and the huge crowds will again only increase, as has steadily occurred each of the past 3 summers. With plans to complete the ADA playground and other park amenities under consideration, I'm asking the council, the city, and the police to help preserve the peaceful use of this beautiful park for all who want to use it and share it, and also to preserve the peaceful environment of our neighboring homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on my list is Steve Hatcher. It says you want to do stormwater management. Is that correct? Okay. We'll get you. Thank you. I have an Emily here. Last name I can't quite read. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant to check the no, I'm not speaking box.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you. And then I have Dennis Morin.
Oh,
He left? Okay. All right. Is there anybody else in the room who wish to do public comment? Thank you. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Wood. My name is Caroline Bellici. I reside at 3633 Marketplace West. I am here to thank Council for the recognition for Women's Month. Without the help of everybody in the community, it's a tough job to do alone, and we are only as successful as those that lift us up. So thank you very much for the recognition. I appreciate it. And while I was here, I thought I'd come in a positive note, and I want to thank Jack Eklund and the engineering group for their absolute wonderful way that they do their bids for road construction. Recently, I've been traveling on 35th Street between Bridgeport and 67th 2 to 3 times a week and multiple different times during the day. And each time I pull onto 35th, I'm thinking, oh my God, I forgot they're doing road construction here. I'm going to be deterred from getting to my needed appointment. I must say, they write the specs very well. The crews have done a fabulous job at being able to keep the traffic going during this difficult time. These types of things do add to the cost of doing the construction, but it sure makes it handy for those of us that use those roads to get to and from our needed appointments. So I wanted to just publicly state that I think our engineering crew has once again nailed it with this, and I no longer worry about hitting the intersection at Drexler and 35th and fearing that I'm going to be in an hours-long delay. I have been timing it recently, and the time is usually a minute or 2 delay. So thank you again, Jack, for the wonderful work you and your team do on this, and just to reassure the community that even though we do have these momentary traffic delays, that our staff is very diligent and aware of the impact it has on neighborhoods and works very hard to ensure that our contractors comply and try and make it as unassuming and difficult as they can. So thanks again.
Thank you. Was there any other comment from in the room? Okay, seeing none, City Clerk, do we have any online?
We don't have anyone online, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude our public comment portion of this meeting tonight. Next is consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve our consent agenda as proposed?
I'll do a motion to approve the consent agenda 7A through 7F.
Second.
Are there any objections to approving the agenda as proposed? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. All right, we are now moving on to our public hearing and council consideration, starting with stormwater management. And we'll go for a staff report first, then public comment or public hearing, and then council consideration.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. I'm Jack Eklund, Director of Public Works, and up here with me is Todd Smith, our NPDS Coordinator. Today we have for you for public hearing is the annual update to the City Stormwater Management Program. As a condition of our NPDS Phase 2 Municipal Stormwater Permit, and that's the permit that regulates our operation of our storm drainage system, the city is required to develop, implement, and annually update our stormwater program. The program lists the element that are required under our permit and identifies the actions, activities to be conducted by the city in order to meet our permit requirements. The required 11 elements of this program are stormwater planning, public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, mapping and documentation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, controlling runoff from new development, redevelopment, and construction, stormwater management for existing development, source control program for existing development, operation maintenance, monitoring assessment, and reporting. Included in your council packet is a copy of the proposed stormwater management program, as well as a memo that summarizes in detail the requirements of each program element. This program has also been posted on our website since, Todd, we had that since March 4th, I believe. March 4th. And have also had availability for folks to provide comment to Todd's email and phone. Of the changes for this year's program, the first and most significant is that this is the beginning of a new permit cycle, and so there are a number of new phases or new milestones that we'll need to reach into this new 5-year permit period, which will begin on August 1st of this year. The sections that have specific changes are under stormwater planning. We'll be required to do a mapping and update of the city's tree canopy and provide a program and recommendations for stormwater-related benefits to the tree canopy. One thing that I would like to note on this is I did mention this it came up as a topic in the latest Park Commission meeting where tree canopy and evaluation of that in the city was an interest of the Park Commission as well. And so I did offer that as we'll give them an opportunity to review and comment when we get the mapping and analysis of the city done. So a little bit of a 2-for-1 there for that program. Well, 3-for-1 because as the Mayor Pro Tem pointed out, there's also the climate, it's like a climate plan that's also a requirement and a benefit for the tree canopy mapping. In public education outreach, I'm just noting that we are going to be hosting the National Natural Yard Care Workshops again this year on April 10th, 17th, and 24th. There are 2 new mapping requirements. One is to map and differentiate the areas in our city that have formal stormwater treatment as compared to where we do not have it. And the other is the map related to the planning section on the tree canopy, and so this would be mapping of the tree canopy as well. On the new section of stormwater management for existing development, this is related to what we did under our stormwater management. It's called Stormwater Management Action Plan that we did as part of our Stormwater Comprehensive Plan. and that was to identify areas in the city in which we can do some effective retrofits of our existing system. And so those, we're already ahead of the curve on that since council took the action with the stormwater management fee adoption and the program update last year. Or earlier this year, actually. Operation maintenance, we have some new requirements on the street sweeping program that will be under effect. And then finally, there is just the opportunity today for the public comment as well. So that's part of our element as well. Other than that, that concludes our report, but we certainly can go into detail any section that you'd like more information on. We did, just a reminder for those that may be in the audience or watching at home, this program was studied with a little more detail at the last council meeting. And I believe, I don't know, Todd, did you have any specific comments you received during the comment period?
I did not.
All right. That concludes our report. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any questions of a factual nature from members of the council for Jack or Todd? Councilmember McCluskey.
Thank you. Did we ever get clarification on what time of year we need to do the tree canopy reporting?
So the tree canopy analysis, the deadline for that is in sorry, I mixed it. It's December 31st, but the implication is they want to see it, the tree canopy, basically when everything's leafed out. So it'd be
they do.
non-winter time is the analysis they want it to show.
Okay. Oh, that's kind of disappointing.
Well, I think it shows the maximum where.
Yeah, right.
Where
but
we
if
can
they're
do
talking
this-
about air quality, then they're not going to get that. As far as climate change and cooling and that during the warmer months, then I can understand
I think
that.
We can do. There is flexibility for us to do. So we certainly can do. Can look at that however we want to analyze it. But certainly, I think if we have to look into what kind of resources. So I don't know if we'll have how difficult it would be to differentiate between the coniferous and the deciduous trees. But if we can, that would be valuable information. And that
Well,
would,
right now,
yeah.
they're just not leafed out yet.
Yeah.
But I would be curious because during the wintertime, that's when we have our worst air pollution due to, chimney emissions and things, and the lower pressure levels keeping the pollutants down towards the ground. So, for me, as a council member looking at our tree policy, that would be strategic and important for me to understand what's deciduous. You could do what you need to do here because I know these are all mandates. We don't really have a choice. This is the minimums that we have to do so that we can keep our permitting alive and active, which is important. We don't want to be out of compliance with that. So, and that's will be not only curiosity, but also when we come back and we talk about what trees we have. I know there's a tree catalog and things, and what we can encourage people to plant so that in the winter we can have not only the diversity, which is a tricky thing, but also the trees that take in the carbon dioxide. Yeah, thank you.
We certainly can look into that. And this year's actions under that element are really just the planning, so it's appropriate for this year to explore those. So we'll definitely find out, and probably next year at this time we'll have a little more information on our next steps for that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Again, factual nature. Okay. I'm seeing none. All right, I would like to open our public hearing. At this time, citizens are invited to comment on this particular topic. The name I have on my list right now is Steve Hatcher. Would you please come join us, state your name, address, and make your comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Woods and members of the City Council. My name is Steve Hatcher. I live at 8331 59th Street West here in UP. That's the Danbridge community for those who aren't familiar with that address. And so I just wanted to make a few comments regarding the stormwater management program, the approval here. So I went back and looked at the December 5th, 2022 study session that was conducted by the council. There's a couple of council members that weren't on the council at the time. And if you haven't seen that, it was very informative. It was well done by staff. Council had a lot of good questions, but there's still a challenge for those of us who have private storm systems. And I recall that Jack, during the presentation, talked about that there's no cookie cutter solutions for the challenges in the stormwater system. So as I read through the stormwater management program, there was section 3 talked about public involvement and participation program. And it states that public involvement and participation activities can be an effective tool used to gain much needed public support for stormwater management program implementation. And it listed several recommendations such as advisory councils, public hearings, and other possible activities. And I would hope that maybe the staff would consider, and the city would consider something like an advisory group, because the knowledge, the expertise at the neighborhood level is not there. And, you know, we don't want to run into a situation where we're running our systems into failure, and then we're dealing with the consequences of that action. So we need the help and the expertise of the city. I'm not saying the city has to solve the problem for us. We just need a partnership, I think, with the city to deal with these systems, because some were put in under different, in the 70s and 80s, different standards, different requirements, and they're starting to show their age. Obviously, I can't speak for all the private stormwater system owners, but we in Danbridge are ready to step up and participate in a public involvement and participation program if the city deems it needed. The bottom line is that when it comes to the private stormwater systems, I think we need to move past what, personally, I think is us versus them. Us being the stormwater owners, them being the city, because we tend to do more of what we can't do as opposed to this is what we can do. And so I would hope that there's an opportunity here. And the last thing I want to say on this is that, you know, you hear the slogan about, you know, it's like eating an elephant because it's so large and challenging. But for those who know the former Chief of Staff of the Army, Creighton Abrams, he used to say that eating an elephant takes one bite at a time, which was his way of saying that if you're going to do something difficult, do it slowly and do it carefully. That concludes my comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room who wishes to comment on the stormwater management program? Thank you, sir. Again, please state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Steve Zelt. I live at 6631 60th Street West. I'm here as a representing our board of the HOA of Harvest Ridge. Many of them are here, and some of the neighbors are here this evening. As far as our public comment goes for the storm water management, we have this to say, and that is we're happy to pay what's fair. We've always been happy to pay what's fair to maintain our detention pond. We've not done well in the past, but we're happy to do that now. But we're also wanting to say that we're not happy to pay what's not fair and what's being forced upon us on the city. And what I mean by not fair is we are made to do things that no other HOA that has an open detention pond is made to do. Now, for the sake of our new freshman councilman here and for the public that's watching on television, I just want to review quickly what the situation is. In February of 2001, the City Council forced a discrete group of private residents, Harvest Ridge HOA, to become legally responsible for the safety and maintenance of a critical piece of major infrastructure, namely a 6-foot sewer main line that runs through a potentially unstable slope above the detention pond at our place. How did this happen? Well, the mayor in 2001, I wasn't here, I was in California having a nice time. The mayor in 2001 with the city council signed a plat contract allowing the development of the second phase of Harvest Ridge. And when they did that, they made legal what is illegal in every other city. They made legal the mingling of private and public funds. They legalized a public-private interest conflict. Why did that happen? Well, we would believe that it was due to, the nicest way I can say it is human factors, human weakness, as a combination of other things, but certainly there was an unscrupulous land developer behind that, and I'm not embarrassed to say so. What did it result in? What happened? Well, a couple of things happened. First of all, Harvest Ridge is not treated equally now with every other HO in the city that maintains an open pond, and there are only 4 others. None of them are forced to pay for public infrastructure to support it. None of them. The other thing is the health and welfare of the public, along with the safety of the environment, have been put at risk. The public needs to hear that. Now, the sheer size and nature of a sewer main line can and must only be managed by civil public institutions created for the express purpose of doing so because they have the sizable and necessary resources to do it. It's flat out wrong, council members, to leave public safety in the hands of amateurs, and that's what's happened. No other city in the state of Washington legally burdens individual homeowners in such a manner. Indeed, University Place does not, except in this single instance. And that this condition is deeply flawed is easily demonstrated by asking yourself a simple question. If today, 2024, a developer came to you and said they wanted to build an HOA on a piece of land identical to ours, there's a county sewer main line running through that land.
Excuse
and
me,
the
sir.
developer said, don't worry about that.
Excuse me, sir. You've gone over your 3 minutes. Could you wrap up your comments quickly, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
We're asking the council members to do what's right. We're asking you to do what's right. Not necessarily what's legal, what's right. And what's right is to change this, and only the council member can do that. Only the council can change this and undo the wrong that was done by your predecessors 20-some-odd years ago. That's what we're asking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Do we have any more comments from within the room? Seeing none. City Clerk, do we have any online?
We don't have anyone online, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right. I would like to close our public hearing, and we'll move to council consideration. Mr. Kazar, could you please walk us through what we're going to need to do for council consideration?
In front of you is a motion to adopt the proposed action is to adopt the 2024 update to the City of University Place Phase 2 NPDES Stormwater Management Program. That would be the motion.
That is the motion.
Okay.
All right. Can I have a motion?
All right. I would like to do a motion to adopt the 2024 update to the City of University Place Phase 1 or 2. Don't have my glasses on. I'm going to restate Phase 2 NPDES Stormwater Management Program, SWIM SWMP. Next time I wear my glasses.
May I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments from council? Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Matt, just connect the dots for me, if you would, on the comments that were made by Mr. Zelt versus the relationship to where we are with this piece of legislation.
I don't believe there's a direct dot to be connected, and I'll defer to my colleague, Mr. Eklund, on that. The Phase 2 NPDES permit directs our obligations to discharge waters into state waters or waters of the United States. What is being talked about is a different component of the city's stormwater regimen. And I'll defer to Jack to the extent that there's any further elaboration on that. But it's not a one-for-one.
Yeah, There certainly is in the NPS requirements, obligations of the city to enforce plat conditions and stormwater regulations that and require maintenance of private storm drainage facilities. And so that does overlap, and that is part of our obligation under our permit to do the enforcement actions that, like example that happened at Harvest Ridge. So that's where it does relate a little bit to this program itself. There haven't been any changes in the private side under this permit cycle. So the update doesn't have any new provision. It's just the requirements that still been in per the permit.
Just so the council understands here, at least the way I understand this also, what Harvest Ridge is requesting sounds like a separate piece of legislation compared to the MPDES. That is a standard that we adopt annually. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, it wouldn't be related. Any action that we would take wouldn't be part of the stormwater program, because it is really talking about our permit itself. It's a little difficult to characterize what the requests for Harvest Ridge, because we do have our hands tied a little bit, but what's legal, what we can legally do, whether it was what could be legally done back in 2001. If a property owner has development rights to develop and they meet the standards at the time, the city cannot deny or could not have denied at the time. So the idea that there was something done improperly or there was an option to prevent whatever happened is incorrect. And that's not an action we could take, and that's outside of that. But certainly outside the scope of the NPDES stormwater program, this just says we're complying with our permit conditions.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to allude that anything improper, proper, or any other way was done, and I don't think anyone else was doing that. I just want to make sure we keep things clear and what we're passing tonight.
Yep.
And the legislation that we have before us is not what is being requested. That's a separate issue by Harvest Ridge. So,
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions by council?
I do, please, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you so much. It's just a follow-up question. I think it was really fundamental to ask for the dots to be connected relative to what we're considering by vote tonight and making the comments that have been shared by Mr. Zelt, so that we could be clear, or just as importantly, the audience could be clear of what it is that we're considering. I'm having a little bit of a struggle, and that is only because with the public comment, the presumption it is relative to this issue at hand. And so at the risk of being a little redundant, could you be even more clear about those comments relative to what we're considering tonight? And if there is absolutely no connection, I'm a little, again, I'm struggling with the comments being afforded in the space in which they were.
Yeah, and from the permit stand, so what the program that we're adopting tonight is our basically commitment and our roadmap, so to speak, of how we're meeting our NPDES permit obligations. Mm-hmm. Under our permit obligations, we're required to ensure that private stormwater facilities are maintained by the responsible parties. And that's really where the scope from private standpoint ends. If there were some others, I'm not sure how there would be some legal implications, but as Councilmember Fleming mentioned, anything outside of just us taking, requiring private property owners to maintain their private systems, that's outside the scope of the NPDES program and the thing at hand. That would be some other separate action that may or may not be advisable or legal, but that's a different discussion.
You bet. Thank you so much, and I hope that I hope it becomes a little bit clearer. Being candid with you, I'm not quite ready to declare I'm clear, but I absolutely want to be clear about one thing. This vote that we're going to take tonight, it has your opinion, nothing to do with the comments that had been offered or the consideration that had been asked prior to us deciding to vote on what's before us. Is that correct?
With relative to the Harvest Ridge question, I do believe, although it's not proposed in our deal, the question by, or the comments by Mr. Hatcher relative to, considering looking at a citizen advisory commission, that could be in the scope of a permit application. So that could be something that we could consider, in the planning efforts of this year's, activities, and then come back with recommendations perhaps next year if that makes sense and the council wishes to do so.
It does, and my apologies, Mayor Pro Tem, so let me be absolutely clear, since you're indulging me. I absolutely want to affirm that the comments that have been made by Steve Hatcher, that falls within what I would have anticipated based upon what you shared for consideration as he laid it clearly for us relative to the program. What Mr. Zelt offered from what the Harvest Ridge expectation might be, you're saying to me that that would not be as easily aligned within our consideration for what's before us as a council.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much. I am now clear.
Any other comments or questions from council? All right, we'll move to a vote. I'm just going to request a voice vote. So all in favor of the proposal as motion as proposed, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
And if the council will permit me for a second to slightly deviate from our agenda, we have one more of the great leaders of our city's history who has joined us, and I would like to take a moment to recognize her if we could do that. So, Ms. Bird, if you could please join us up here, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
It's going to be good.
You what?
You speak.
But I need the proclamation.
Are you going to read the whole thing again?
No, I won't do that. That's right. That's redundant. We don't want to be redundant. I'm so excited that you could come join us.
I'm sorry I was late. I thought we started at 7.
This lady here is very strategic in helping design and start our city way before cityhood. You worked hours and hours and hours, knocked on countless doors tirelessly to become a city. You were one of the first women mayors, right, of our city, and you are responsible also for the design and implementation of the huge, beautiful playground that we have in North Central at Chambers Bay. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. When she was mayor, I couldn't believe all the things she was able to pack in her day when she would tell me, sit down and talk to me, and tell me what she did and all the things that she was going to do. And believe me, she was going to do it. I was just totally amazed and blown away. She has huge, shoes to fill, and I have yet to even fill half of them. And I'm honored that you have come for University Place Women's History Month. So thank you.
I wanted to say that anything that we accomplished was because we had a great staff. And some of them are still here, which is good to see. And some of them have come back just to bend your ear. But anyway, thank you very much for this honor.
Proclamation for you and a rose. There you go. Here's your proclamation. Thank you. Thank you.
All stand.
Linda, you
Yes.
were the first woman mayor.
It was. Someday I'll tell you why you were the first mayor.
It was because of the woman, right?
Thank you for everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are we doing a?
Okay, with that, I'd like to move to item number 9 on the agenda, City Manager and Council Comments Reports. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. You probably already have heard this, but it's worth repeating that we got great news recently that Congresswoman Strickland's office, that the city has been awarded a $500,000 grant for the Community Project Funding Grant for the Chambers Bay Access Opportunity Project. So what does that mean? This will go towards the construction of a roundabout, a modern roundabout at the T intersection of Chambers Creek Road, Upper Chambers Creek Road, and Lower Chambers Creek Road, by that bus barn area. This will provide traffic safety and traffic capacity for a lot of vehicles that travel to and from University Place, connecting to Joint Base Lewis McChord, City of DuPont, Olympia, Town of Steilacoom. It's a major commuter route, and we're hopeful for this project. The project will also improve along Chambers Creek Road, will improve bicycle and pedestrian safety. It's a great bicycle and pedestrian corridor along 64th Street and Chambers Creek Road, leading to Grandview Drive and to the Chambers Creek properties and Chambers Bay. So Congresswoman Strickland's staff worked very hard to secure funding. It was part of an overall $13 million of projects, $13 million that she secured for projects in the South Sound to 14 different communities. And University Place was fortunate to secure $500,000. It's been signed by the president, I understand, this bill, so it's official. And so now that's why I'm reporting on it. We kind of knew it was coming, but we weren't quite sure until the ink dried, as they say. Jack Eklund, who oversees engineering, public works, parks, and a lot of other areas, is informing me this evening that his staff and he are pursuing an additional $600,000 to $800,000 in grant funding through PSRC, so we can complete the funding package necessary to build out what's envisioned. But this $500,000 will go a long way, and we thank Congresswoman Strickland for her wonderful efforts and hard work on securing this funding for University Place. So that's my report, Mayor Pro Tem. Council.
Thank you. Any questions for the City Manager?
That's wonderful news. First leg of it. Yay.
We're on our way.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to council reports then, and I'll just keep it simple. I'm going to go left. Let's go right to left tonight. Councilmember Grassi, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, not a lot to report, but I would like to highlight I was honored to represent the city at our recent ribbon cutting for the Old Times Bakery, also owned by a woman for Women's History Month. So I just want to encourage everyone to go and support. Wonderful family. They worked really hard to get that open, and they are open off of Orchard, and wonderful time to satisfy your sweet tooth and visit that bakery. So always proud and honored when someone invests in our city, another small business. So that is all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I was just picturing
when the city manager said we got a quarter of the money for this roundabout, do we just build a quarter of it and kind of hold out for the ride? Forget it. Hey, two quick things for council. One, again, a quick reminder to citizens and the council, we're a month away from our second annual cleanup that's going to be sponsored by both the school district and our local Rotary folks. It's a 3K, 5K walk and cleanup along our roadways here and do a fundraiser for scholarships for Curtis High School. So encourage everyone to sign up and turn out. The second is, unfortunately, the mayor could not be with us tonight, but he did ask me if I would share with council and citizens on March 25th is the Medal of Honor Day. It's a special event that he's calling folks to join. And I'll just read the note here as it's stated, but it says, celebrate America's Medal of Honor recipients and join the VA Deputy Secretary Tanya Bradshear and the Medal of Honor recipients Britt Slavinsky, Barney Barnum, and Ryan Pitts during the Honor the Sacrifice fireside chat to inspire the future on March 25th, 2024, 9:30 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, for those who don't know much about the Medal of Honor, it is the highest award that the military can award to an individual from combat, and certainly is a very sacred honor that we bestow upon our men and women who answer the call of duty. So with that, that is all I have to report tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On Wednesday, March 13th, I attended the Zoo Track Authority board meeting, one of my favorite meetings to attend. They talked about the year-to-date revenue, and last year they ended at around $8-ish million, so they were a little light. And also they had 910,000 guests, and they were once again a little light on that. You know, that always complementaries, right? If you don't get enough guests, you may not get your revenue that you budgeted for. But they did make adjustments, and it wasn't much of an adjustments to make, so they were hopefully in 2024, because they're almost at pre-pandemic levels in revenue as well as attendance, that with some of the new things that are coming on at the zoo and the new trams being reboarded, and which I'll talk about later, they're hopefully that they'll make pre-pandemic goals. So the shortfall was actually about $600,000, which sounds like quite a bit of money, but they made some internal adjustments that did not trigger any inconveniences to the animals, just to the human ones, I'm sure. And so they are now even and within budget. If you go online, they're on the Zoo Track Authority line, you will see a 2023 annual report to the community, and it talks about the numbers as well as some of the animal health and things that are going on with that and things to look forward to. There was a presentation by Liz Hines. She's the community engagement and gal that promotes empathy with children and adults with various different programs to improve their experiences and to deepen the relationship with the zoo and the track so that they will be encouraged and inspired to continue to come again and learn about all the wonderful animals that call the zoo and the trek their home. Sarah Oliver, the director of the zoo, what's coming online this spring is a new improved tropical reef aquarium. They'll have new species there, including warm water invertebrates in the mangroves. So it'll be a new touch tank visitor experience. They're officially closing the bungee experience. It's pretty much closed now. And they're going to house the bungees until the last one passes on from old age. And they're not going to renew or reopen that. But there is something that they're thinking about placing there that they said is going to be just as wonderful. The animal updates, we had a tiger who has, I guess, severe arthritis in the back. And so he was giving acupuncture, and he seems to be improving. So there you go. Maybe they'll work on humans too. Northwest Trek Report. They had 146,000 visitors, so a little light. And Rick Dietz is the director there, and he said that the trams, we had an opening for the trams probably about 6 months ago, but the tram's braking system wasn't quite working well. It needed to be tweaked and a few other things, so they had to get the engineering guys from Portugal to come to the track, which I'm sure they were excited to do so they could see all the animals. And so all those things will be worked out, and that in March, in May, there's going to be a relaunch of the tram, so a reopening of the tram experience. And the superstar of the trek is Hudson the Beaver, and so we got a little bit of update on Hudson the Beaver. And if you want updates, he has YouTubes, and he has quite the following worldwide. So he's quite popular superstar of Trek. And there was a new porcupine habitat that will be done by the end of the year at Trek. And there will be a brand new commissary for all the animals that they received a substantial grant for. So there'll be new digs and restaurants for the animals, so the foods can be prepped and prepared. And with that, I'll conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. No activity report, but just a note of thanks, a note of gratitude, certainly to Representative Strickland of the 10th Congressional District for the $500,000 in moving UP forward. I can't ever take any of those opportunities for granted, nor the people who make those outcomes real for us. So just really wanted to say thank you. I think it's that much more appropriate as we continue to elevate and celebrate Women's History Month. She happens to be one, and it's amazing for me to see how she continues to impact us in more ways than I could ever thank her personally for. To that extent, also wanted to affirm what I witnessed tonight. Again, a celebration of women's history. It is not lost on me that we put in front of us local heroes. One of my heroes often reminds me that all of his heroes are somebody he can touch, somebody he can have a conversation with. I think that's a really interesting way to look at how we mentor, how we make impacts, and how we actually define heroes. So just wanted to affirm, again, congratulations to those that were before us being celebrated tonight, and certainly wanted to affirm that, again, for Councilwoman Grassi. Just really appreciate the effort that we're making to clarify really what we need to be doing at times when we elevate and celebrate. Thank you so much. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember. So I have one report here, not for myself. Last Friday, I was at the Pierce County Climate Conversation again. We had multiple presentations. Just run down the list really quick. Pierce County Sustainability Collaborative did a report. The CPRG, which is a Climate Protection Reduction Grant or Pollution Reduction Grant. We had an update on that. There's been some local communities that are actually starting to receive grants underneath that. Electrify Now did a presentation. Switches On did a presentation. And then the last presentation I want to talk a little bit about because it's very pertinent to us, I believe. And that was a presentation on the Clean Buildings Act and Large Building Emission Reduction Act, which was just passed in our state legislature. It's very interesting. It was promoted or promulgated by the State Department of Commerce. It requires measurement of energy use intensity, which is now EUI. So if you start seeing that EUI, that stands for energy use intensity. And this applies to buildings in Tier 1, which are greater than 50,000 square feet, and Tier 2, greater than 20,000 square feet. And obviously, we have a lot of those buildings here in University Place. I believe this might be one of them. I'm not sure, but I think so. But there's going to be required compliance forms that are going to have to be filed annually. there are potential fines for failure to comply, either not just in filing the forms, but in having your building fail to meet their EUI objectives. And I have right now exhausted my knowledge of this new program other than its law. It's taking effect in about 2027, I believe. And I would recommend that we bring in Department of Commerce representative to do a presentation to our city. Now, to be clear, there is no direct role for the city here. We're not going to be enforcing. It is a state law to be enforced by Department of Commerce against private owners of buildings. Our direct role will be for any city buildings. But having said that, I think as a city, we've got an obligation to inform and work with the members of our community to see if they're going to have issues that are coming up from this, and if so, to assist in what ways we can. So with that, if I could if we could arrange either with Department of Commerce or if our engineering department wants to take this on or somebody would like to discuss this, I think that would be a great future presentation for the council and possibly even a public hearing where we invite these large building owners in the future. That's my thought and my comments. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, if that concludes our city business, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Mm-hmm.